best electric scooters under $2,000 for 2023. What an interesting concept, and the topic of a recent video from the Electric Scooter Guide. Rarely an episode goes by that I don't mention the Electric Scooter Guide. We're not affiliated, but to be fair, it really was the Electric Scooter Guide that inspired me to even create this podcast. You've heard me tell the story before. If you're a regular Scooterhead listener, you know I called the Electric Scooter Guide and said, "Can you guys please do a podcast?" And they said, "Nah, why don't you do one?" And the thought had never occurred to me before to actually do a podcast about electric scooters. I took them up on it, and Paul Somerville and Chuck Temple were among the first people I interviewed for the show, so I owe them a big debt of gratitude. And when they come out with a new and exciting video, I think it is worth mentioning. Best electric scooters under $2,000. Why is it so intriguing? Because $2,000 is kind of a tipping point, I would say, for a lot of people, to where that's a lot of money. $1,000 is also a tipping point. When you're first getting into scooters, you're looking at $300, $400, $500 scooters, Go Tracks. Now the Unagi, I understand, you might be able to get for under $500, which is pretty incredible. If you don't mind, 7 or 8 miles of range, you get a cool light scooter. But we'll talk more about this $2,000 and under, because if you pay $2,000 or approaching $2,000, you might get 40 miles of range. You might get 40 miles per hour. You might get great reliability. It depends on what your use case scenario is, Scooterheads. What are you going to use your scooter for? Commuting? Fun and off-road like I do? I will put a link in the podcast description, because you really should watch the video. Paul Somerville is just a consummate professional presenter. He's a guy who found his true calling in life. His background is in motorcycles. He was a technical officer for a big rental scooter company. Actually, I think maybe a couple of them in the San Francisco Bay Area, a booming area, which means he was in charge of the repairs of all these rental scooters. So he knows what he's talking about, and he's just got a great voice. He's very professional. I've said it before. He could become a late night talk show host if he wanted to. He's very polished. So watch the video. Yeah, listen to what I'm saying, my description, because I have my own take. But really, if you're serious about purchasing a new electric scooter, then you really want to watch the Electric Scooter Guide. There are lots of folks doing YouTube videos about electric scooters for very specific reasons and niches and genres, but just in general, if you want to see what's out there and you're trying to narrow down what scooter is right for you, you gotta be watching the Electric Scooter Guide. You just gotta do it. Scooterhead. Not all of us have time to sit our butts in front of a television. And some people just want to get their scooter news while they're able to work in the garage, put some headphones on, go jogging. And that's why you tune into the Electric Scooter Podcast as well. One more bit of pontification before we get on to the actual list. And I am just going to be reading from what Paul Somerville presented and making my comments. Most things I'll agree on. Some things maybe not quite as much. A couple years ago, the Electric Scooter Guide put out a video that was kind of mimicking or mocking the Academy Awards. And the next year, I assumed they were going to put out another video kind of summarizing the previous year scooter releases and scooter videos. And I got on the forums and I talked to them and I said, bring it back. You know, it was so great to see the people there not just presenting statistics, but having fun, goofing around the office and showing off their video skills. When you watch a review of a scooter, it is fun and interesting to see the little drone shot and the rider doing a little rooster tail on the rear tire of the scooter and all those neat little things they do. But I still contend it would be fun to watch the Electric Scooter Guide team going all out, just having a blast, doing funny little scenes while they are presenting awards for what? I don't know, best brakes, best suspension, best deck, best scooter video, best rider. How about when they have full-on races? They haven't done them in a while because of, certain to be unnamed pandemics. There's just so much room for so many great things you could do. And I would just like to see their video team stretch out and use special effects and have fun and joke around. It would be a great way to cap off the year, but, who am I, right? Why listen to me? But that is my pitch to the Electric Scooter Guide, and I'm sticking to it because I want to see it. That was a great video, and you could see as they progress with their video skills, they could do so much more. And I appreciate that as an amateur videographer, because when I say amateur, I mean I'm not good, okay? I have the camera gear, but that doesn't mean I can turn it into something magical and interesting to watch. It's something I'm working on. It's a hobby. It's fun. But anyway, that's a huge sidebar. Let's get into the list. Electric Pooter Scodcast News. Or something like that. Anyway, Electric Scooter Podcast News. Electric Podcast Scooter News. Electric Scodcast Pooter News. I know we go in any direction with that. I'm just getting goofy. At $2,000, in my opinion, you should be able to get hydraulic brakes. You should be able to get a decent headlight, a decent sized deck, and tires. What kind of tires do you want? You should be able to get pneumatic tires, and if it has that goo inside, that would be great too, to prevent flat tires. Or you could pick up some ginger goo. Google it. Ginger goo. A product made by a scooter head for scooter heads. And if you got one of those low headlights that are just above your front tire, that's unacceptable. You need something mounted on your handlebars. So I suggest the PEV Firelight Dagwood.com, which is also brought to you by Ginger on Wheels. So what type of features are you looking for at $2,000? What type of throttle? You want a finger throttle? You want a thumb throttle? There's one of them on here that has the option to get almost a motorcycle type throttle. I think we call that a twist throttle. Is that what we're calling it, scooter heads? The first category is called long range sport scooter. And their nomination is the Inc. i5. Now it's Yinke. So in Mandarin Chinese, that would be pronounced Yin Ke. But if you want to say Inc., that works for me. The Inc. i5, which, according to the Electric Scooter Guide, is a breakout design from a new brand. And of course, I haven't had the opportunity to ride this particular scooter, but looking at it on the video, it has a sleek and solid looking design along the lines of the Apollo City Pro, even Taur, Taur, both of those which we'll talk about in a few minutes here. But that seems to be the way scooters are going, where there are rounded pipe looking structure and high quality paint, and they have a solid look, and the Yink i5 falls into that category. Some of the good things about the Inc. i5, well, my opinion is looks. It looks good and it looks solid, like I mentioned. According to the Electric Scooter Guide, it has an easy to read display, and you can ride it for about 38 miles. When you're approaching 40 miles, that to me, I think for scooters, 40 miles of range is one of those kind of cutoff points that you look for. The Electric Scooter Guide complained a little bit that the deck's a little short and it's not as stable at 40 miles per hour, but you can get a damper. You can get an optional damper, so I don't really see that as an issue. I like to cruise between 30 and 35. For me, that's comfortable, just getting across town in the big, wide open streets that we have here in Las Vegas. The Yink i5 has hydraulic brakes, hydraulic suspension, which I don't know that I've heard of that before other than on the Wolf Warrior maybe. And it has 10-inch tubeless tires. Next category is acceleration and sport value, which the Electric Scooter Guide landed on the VSET 10 Plus. It weighs 80 pounds, cost $1,800, and their tested range was 27 miles, which is 45 and a half kilometers. Maybe I should give the metric statistics to. Okay, the weight is 80 pounds, which is 36 kilos. The price is $1,800, which is about 1,500 pounds. The range is 27 miles, as I mentioned, which is 45 and a half kilometers. The VSET 10 Plus was the replacement for the 010X. Remember that? That was a pretty cool scooter, right? But on the VSET, I do like the paint scheme. I'm a sucker for black and yellow, so it's got that going for it. Pros and cons for the VSET 10 Plus. Pros are hydraulic rear shocks. It's got a super stiff stem. Say that 3 times fast. And it's fast. Acceleration is another pro. Cons, short deck. They see that as a con. Maybe, maybe not. Depends on the rider, I suppose. Dim display. That's never good. Long reach from brakes to throttle. I would say that depends on the individual as well. That's the VSET 10 Plus. Next, speed. The Cabo Wolf Warrior 10. It's an X, which is the Latin writing system that means 10. Generally, when you see 10, like 10 plus or, whatever in the name of a scooter, that means 10-inch tires, right? So I'm calling it the Wolf Warrior 10. You can call it the Wolf Warrior X. That's what they call it at the Electric Scooter Guide. It also weighs 80 pounds. It's $1,900, but there are coupon codes you can get. So these prices, you can get discounts. And the range was 32 miles. So the weight, again, 80 pounds or 36 kilos. The price, $1,900 or 1,550 pounds. The range, 32 miles or 51 kilometers. Now, when Zero to Epic rode scooters across the entire United States, I remember he had, I don't remember how many varieties of scooter he had, but I know it's at least 5. He had an Apollo Phantom. He had the Wolf Warrior 10. He had the Wolf Warrior that I have, 11 or 11 plus. And there were a couple more. He had an Inokim. He had a couple, let's just say 5 or 6 different varieties of scooters. And I remember very distinctly, and you can go back and listen to the interview, he loved this Wolf Warrior 10. He just thought the power, acceleration, and the nimbleness. He's also a motorcycle rider, so the motorcycle front end that I love and the dual headlights just make this Wolf Warrior really a scooter that you should consider. And you can get the off-road tires or street tires. I prefer the off-road tires. I like the noise they make when you're riding, even on pavement. I don't notice much different in grip. They're actually both pretty good, both off-road and the pavement. Obviously, the all-terrain tires are going to have an advantage off-road. This is a great pick for under $2,000. The Cabo Wolf Warrior 10. By all appearances, it looks to be a slightly smaller version of the Wolf Warrior 11. So it's cheaper, it's more portable, and it's lighter. But it handles fantastic. Of all the scooters that the Electric Scooter Guide talked about for best 2022 to 23 under $2,000, this is the fastest scooter at 44 miles per hour, which is 71 kilometers per hour. There is a pro version of the Wolf Warrior 10 or the Wolf Warrior X, but the base model is actually a little faster. Next. They're calling this Juggernaut Range Champion, but they also call it on the side, and I've heard them mention this before, the only scooter you'll ever need. And of course, we're talking about the E-Move Cruiser, which I might add also comes in with the coolest colors of any scooter I've ever seen. The purple's awesome. That's Chuck Temple's favorite. I like the orange. It weighs 52 pounds or 24 kilos. It costs $1,500, which is about 1,200 British pounds. And the range is 47 miles. That's 75 kilometers on this scooter. It's kind of a no-brainer. If you're really going to be living on your scooter and this is your number one mode of transportation, man, the E-Move Cruiser is hard to beat. If you want to get a scooter that's even in the ballpark of the E-Move Cruiser as far as range, you're talking the Nami Burn E2 Max, which is, get this, triple the price. And this is the scooter I mentioned earlier that is available with a twist throttle. For $70, you can get a motorcycle style throttle and have it installed on your E-Move Cruiser. How about that? It also is one of the most water-resistant scooters you can buy. I always say, if it's raining, get out of the rain. Don't get your scooter wet. But if you live in the Pacific Northwest, sometimes that is just unavoidable. You get caught, and maybe there's not a bridge handy for you to pull under, and it might get a little bit wet. So the E-Move Cruiser should give you a little bit of peace of mind if you live in one of those types of climates. The best city commuter is one that we talked about last episode, because Timothy West certified it as good to go for big guys and big gals. As Ramir on the Electric Scooter Guide calls them big dogs. It's a big dog approved. That is the Apollo City. I had a little brain fart. I was thinking it was the Apollo Pro. When I saw Apollo new scooter reviewed by Timothy West, I jumped on it, and my mind was saying Apollo Pro for some reason. But this is Apollo City Pro. I was kind of down on the Apollo Pro because you have to use a telephone as your LCD, and I just don't like that idea. There was a lot of things I don't like about it. They're just trying to have more innovations for the sake of more innovations, just seemed to me. But this Apollo City, wow, I haven't ridden it, but the specs on it and the things I hear from people who have ridden it are quite impressive. So the Electric Scooter Guide is calling it the best city commuter. Why? Well, it's definitely under $2,000. It's $1,600. This looks like a lot of scooter for $1,600. It weighs 66 pounds, which is 30 kilos. $1,600, which is 1,300 British pounds. The range is 23 miles, which is about 36 kilometers. It has mechanical brakes, which I would rather see hydraulic, but it also does have regenerative brakes, which when you combine the two, you're going to be a little bit less demanding on your mechanical brakes, which is a good thing. So I don't know, maybe this is a compromise. The regen brakes, I'm not sure. I mean, it's good functionality wise, using the two together, regenerative brakes and your mechanical brakes, that's going to give you a good combination and just more options for stopping power. How much electricity or power do regenerative brakes add to the battery? Anybody? Let me know. I haven't seen a study or test. Maybe that's something for Ginger on Wheels to figure out, or the Electric Scooter Guide, Jimmy Chang, Alien Rides, these guys that really get into the statistics and specification of scooters. But is it worth it? I don't know. I don't know how much regenerative braking contributes to adding power to your battery. And again, we're talking about the Apollo City Pro, which the Electric Scooter Guide is called the best city commuter. And I'm in no position to doubt that. One of the things that I really like about the Apollo City Pro, 10-inch pneumatic, which means air-filled, tires. But they have some kind of goo in them that if you check out this video or you check out Electric Scooter Guide's review of the Apollo City Pro, they show a close-up of a tire running over a nail which fully pierces the tire. And apparently the scooter kept going and didn't get a flat tire. That sounds like the best of all worlds. If that is the case, then I want these tires on every one of my scooters. The only cons the Electric Scooter Guide could see for the Apollo City Pro, turn signals aren't visible from the front. Yeah, I don't see that as a big deal. 66 pounds, not the most portable. You know, you gotta give and take. If you want more stuff on your scooter, it's going to weigh a little more. You just got to consider that stuff, whether you're taking it up and down stairs or off and on trains. How big and strong are you? Is that an issue for you? Those are factors you have to weigh. That was the Apollo City Pro, Electric Scooter Guide's best city commuter. Next is top pick for a premium design, Taur, T-A-U-R. Do you just want to pronounce it Tower, like Minotaur? Taur, T-A-U-R. Top pick for premium design. This one, you kind of got to Google and take a look at it. It has, again, like I said earlier with design, where they are going to the big rounded tube looking structure, which I like in principle, and the Taur takes it to great lengths. Very tubular, dude. Love the tires. I love these huge tires. What I don't like, side-by-side footing. There is no conventional deck like a skateboard or most scooters that you can imagine that you're used to seeing and used to riding on. Your feet must be side by side. Taur claims there are some advantages to this. I don't like it just because when you have to brake, it's going to throw your body weight forward. It might be great for riding wheelies. One of the things that's great about this design, I think you give up rideability for this, but function and form wise, you can fold it up and store it vertically. So if it is your primary commuter, you get to work, you get to school, you can stick it in a corner and it's not laying flat, taking a bunch of space on the floor. You can stand it up like a broom in the corner, if you can picture that. It stands vertically. It weighs 37 pounds, which is 17 kilos, pretty light. 1,500 US dollars, which is 1,200 British pounds. Range is only 12 miles, which is almost 20 kilometers. The designer is Carson Brown, and he did a pretty good job, I would say, with social media, making commercials and getting a hubbub, a brouhaha going about the design. It certainly is controversial, and it certainly is different. And if you want to be different, you might want to look at the Taur, T-A-U-R. The tires are 12.5 inch. I love them. I love the way they look. I love everything about them. If you look at the video where the Electric Scooter Guide reviews the Taur, you can see Paul standing up with his hands off of the handlebar completely. Like, look, ma, no hands. I wouldn't do that on any other scooter. If there's some strange situation to where that would be advantageous to you, I don't know, you want to talk on your phone as you're riding your scooter, or pick your nose, give the peace sign to people as you cruise by, wave at people, flip the bird to someone that cuts you off. I don't know. But if that is a big deal to you, another reason to look at the Taur. Pros and cons of the Taur. Pros: Kevlar belted, flat resistant tires. Man, I like that. Space-saving vertical parking. Cons: it's expensive. Display is difficult to read in sunlight. Short range. Yeah, 12, 13 miles. It's not great range. And it's currently available in Los Angeles, California only, but I don't see that as a con because it's going to be available everywhere shortly if it takes off. One thing I talked about when I reviewed the Taur scooter in a previous podcast that is fantastic, very innovative, is they have a light over the rear wheel that shines on the rider. I think that's just fantastic. So It's nighttime. You're driving a car. Off to the right, you see a little teeny dot of a light. Wow, what's that? Or, as in with the tower, you see a light shining, illuminating the entire scooter rider's body. I love it. It's just safer. They need to put it on more scooters, please. Next, best commuter that is a performance bargain. They have the Cabo Mantis version 2. I think there's a version 3 either out now or available. This scooter, I would recommend you buy the version 2 or 3. The version 1 had some issues with the stem wobble, stem creaking, stem breaking, but they fixed it. So the bottom line is, I would say if you're going to buy the Cabo Mantis, don't buy it used. Buy it brand new and get the version 2 or newer. The Cabo Mantis version 2 weighs 65 pounds, which is 30 kilos. It costs $1,800. The range is, again, real range, not claimed by the company, but what the Electric Scooter Guide got in their test, 27 miles, which is 44 kilometers. It's an agile, sporty scooter that gets good range at a good price. It's kind of a standard. You can buy it from Voro Motors or Fluid Freeride. Both are companies that I trust and have used in the past. Again, this is just kind of a standard scooter if you want something on the sporty side. You can't go wrong. They've been making it for years and slowly improving it with each new version and upgrade. That was the list from the Electric Scooter Guide. But they did have some honorable mentions, which I won't mention except for one. GoTrax, a pretty budget scooter company. I own one. I own like a $220 GoTrax scooter, which I've used for certain situations, and kids when they come over the house or people that are intimidated by larger, more powerful scooters, they'll hop on the GoTrax. They have a series that's called the GX series. And I'll just say this about it before we wrap up the podcast. They have a very unique look. They have a very SUV boxy type look. They look rugged and solid. Around $1,000. There are a couple different varieties of them, but I think it'd be cool to take a look at. It looks like they have some cool colors. I don't know if they're out yet or they're coming out soon, but they look kind of like, you know how SUVs, they get a rugged look. They might not necessarily be great for rock climbing or going too much off-road, but they just look kind of tough. It looks like maybe that's what they did. Maybe these actually are tough. There's one GoTrax model called the GX3, which is going to be $1,800. So that's got to be their flagship, right? And it looks pretty burly. It looks pretty cool, and it's got this very interesting green, like I don't know what you'd call it, a dark teal color that looks really cool, and all-terrain tires. It looks promising. GoTrax GX series, specifically the GX3. Scooterheads, this is where we bid you a fond aloha. Until next episode, keep the shiny side up and the dirty side down. Wear a helmet. Aloha!